Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating, high-stakes business case study that's playing out literally right now in the world of sports entertainment. We're looking at an absolute masterclass in counter-programming. Specifically, we're going to analyze the strategic benefits of All Elite Wrestling, AEW, capitalizing on WWE's monumental decision to move WrestleMania 43 all the way to Saudi Arabia. So, how exactly does a challenger brand maneuver when the industry titan leaves its home turf completely wide open? Well, let's find out.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover the U.S. market void, counter-programming the incumbent, the babyface versus corporate heel dynamic, creating unique fan experiences, the economics of goodwill, and finally, long-term brand impact.
Okay, let's dive right in by asking the core question at the absolute heart of this market disruption opportunity. How does a challenger brand actually capitalize when the market leader abandons its home turf? You see, this isn't just about wrestling, right? It's a classic business dilemma of exploiting a competitor's strategic pivot.
Section 1. The U.S. market void and analyzing the strategic gap.
So, WWE's current focus is pretty clear. They're chasing enormous overseas site fees by heading to Saudi Arabia, prioritizing a globally sold show, and heavily leaning into celebrity integration. But, this creates a gaping domestic void. Historically, the entire independent wrestling ecosystem wraps itself completely around WrestleMania weekend here in the States. With WWE thousands of miles away, AEW suddenly has an unopposed weekend to absolutely monopolize stateside indie conventions, third-party businesses, and those core American fans who simply aren't going to make the trip to the Middle East.
Section 2. Counter-programming the incumbent, or a historical strategy reborn.
History has this really fascinating way of repeating itself. Let's look back at 1988. Vince McMahon famously aired the very first Royal Rumble for free on the USA Network. Why? Specifically to counter-program and financially hurt the NWA's Bunkhouse Stampede pay-per-view. It was literally a legendary disruption tactic. Fast forward to today, and AEW is positioned to deploy a very similar tactic. By running a massive stateside event directly opposite WWE's Saudi event, they are using physical accessibility to counter an incumbent's isolated, highly premium international broadcast. It's brilliant.
Section 3. Babyface versus corporate heel. Brand positioning in action.
Brand positioning is where this whole thing gets super fascinating. Sources point out that TKO executives have explicitly stated they want quote-unquote better fans. They're pushing hard to dictate tastes by prioritizing celebrities like Travis Scott or Logan Paul. Now, this corporate action inevitably alienates a segment of the core fan base. AEW, on the other hand, can step in and play the ultimate corporate babyface, the good guy. They can offer a pure, fan-centric alternative. In fact, analysts suggest that for resentful American wrestling fans, attending an AEW counter-event actually becomes a spiteful alternative to WWE's corporate actions. It's a calculated, loud statement of consumer loyalty.
Section 4. Creating unique fan experiences and capturing the displaced audience. To truly stand out from WWE, AEW needs to create a holistic, completely unique fan experience. The source material outlines what could be a brilliant logistical play, hosting the event down in Orlando. Now, why Orlando? Well, the Jacksonville Jaguars will likely be temporarily moving their games to Orlando during stadium renovations, and that offers some really deep synergistic ties for AEW's ownership. Plus, Orlando is incredibly accessible. We're talking loads of direct flights, which is absolutely vital for weary travelers. Furthermore, AEW could tie into Disney and Universal theme parks. Imagine AEW wrestler signings bundled directly with Disney family packages. They could even host free or incredibly low-cost access-style fan conventions at Daly's Place or nearby venues. This ensures there are 100 different things for families to do outside of just the wrestling show itself.
Section 5. The economics of goodwill. Premium pricing versus free access.
Now, this brings us to a really fascinating psychological reality in consumer economics. While there is definitely a temptation to make a counter-programming event entirely free on YouTube or television to win the hearts and minds of the fans, well, there's a risk. As the source notes, when a product is on pay-per-view, it inherently becomes perceived as a more premium, must-see product in the minds of the consumer, simply by virtue of having to pay for it. The trap here is, if you make it too cheap, fans might subconsciously view it as a lesser product. So, as an industry analyst looking at this case study, you really have to ask yourself, does giving a show away for free devalue it, or does it actually build insurmountable consumer goodwill? The sweet spot here might be a hybrid model. Think about it. You charge for the premium two-night pay-per-view to maintain that prestige, but you offer the surrounding fan access events, the conventions, and the meet and greets for free, or at least at an incredibly low cost. Essentially, you act as the exact opposite of a corporation that charges exorbitant daily access fees, and instead, you give massive value directly back to the consumer.
Section 6. Long-term brand impact and securing the future.
2027. This number right here is absolutely critical. If AEW decides to run a two-night event stateside against WrestleMania 43, pulling in potentially 40,000 fans and putting on high-quality 3.5-hour shows each night, without the burnout of those overstuffed cards, it proves a massive point. Cementing this brand loyalty and proving they can draw unopposed in the US is financially crucial as AEW heads into their next major TV contract negotiations in 2027. It's all about proving undeniable market share and standing out as a true powerhouse alternative.
We're going to leave you with this final thought. Can AEW successfully exploit TKO's strategic gap to redefine the wrestling market? If AEW manages to pull off this fan-first counter-programming, if they actually offer an accessible, value-driven alternative to a corporate rival that has moved its biggest asset overseas, will it permanently shift the balance of power in sports entertainment? I mean, it's a strategic gap just waiting to be filled, and how it plays out is definitely going to be one for the business textbooks. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the strategies behind the spectacles.